Okay, today we are discussing elastic collisions in greater details. Now, earlier we have talked about elastic collisions. What happens in elastic collision? The total kinetic energy is conserved as well as the total momentum is also conserved. And we did discuss that all the micro collisions, they come under the category of elastic collisions. So micro collisions, when I say micro collisions, I'm talking about the collision between the gas molecules or subatomic particles. All such collisions, they will come under the category of elastic collision. Again, I repeat, in elastic collision, what happens is the total kinetic energy is conserved as well as the total momentum is also conserved. So please make a note of this so that we move ahead. I can share a different screen with you because, okay, just give me a moment. Yeah, let's talk about elastic collision in greater details. So in elastic collision, we all know, yesterday we have seen the total kinetic energy as well as the total momentum is conserved. Okay, so we will call such collision as an elastic collision. So let's go for detailed analysis of elastic collision. So the two conditions are known to us, and what we are considering here is a one-dimensional collision. When I'm saying one-dimensional, that means they are moving along a single axis, say x-axis, and the collision, that is the collision in which the colliding bodies will move along a straight line. So either you talk in terms of x-axis or you talk in terms of straight line, friends. So one and the same. So one-dimensional collision we are considering to understand elastic collision in greater details. And you can see they move along the straight line joining their centers. Then let's talk about two non-rotating spheres A and B. They are moving towards the right along the straight line, joining the centers, their centers basically, okay, as shown in the figure. Now the specific condition is that two spheres have masses m1 and m2. The initial velocities of the two spheres are u1 and u2 respectively, and the greater condition is u1 should be greater than u2, so that the sphere 1 would hit sphere 2 because of this condition u1 greater than u2, friends. So after some time you will find that A and B would make a head-on collision, and after collision they would have separate final velocities, say for example v1 and v2. So v1 and v2 are the collisions, velocities after collision, friends. So just make a note of this slide and give me the intimation so that we move ahead. Okay, so we are getting into greater details of elastic collision. We are going to derive a derivation today, friends. Okay, let's see. Give me a moment. Yeah, yeah. Most of you say done. So let's move ahead then. Okay. So based on what we have, stated as of now. Yeah, Gargi, you also can note it down. Okay. So quickly make a note of the screen so that we move ahead. And let us know if you have noted it down. So here we are talking about elastic collision in greater details. These are the initial details, and then we are talking about the two spheres being colliding. U1 and U2 initial velocities, M1 and M2 masses of the two spheres, V1 and V2 are the final velocities after collision. Okay, so let's move ahead then. Okay, so here you can see there are two pictures before collision. U1 and U2, you can see U1 is greater than U2, therefore obviously the collision will take place between A and B. The mass is M1 for and for B it is M2. After collision, the final velocities are V1 and V2. So make a note of this picture, friends, before I start writing down some equations on the basis of the concept of elastic collision. Once you are done with it, let me know. Yeah, most of you say yes. So let's move ahead then. Let's go ahead. Okay, let's put the equation. The first thing velocity and the momentum towards the right would be considered positive. Means if these quantities are directed towards positive x-axis or towards right, we would consider them as positive. Okay, and the first condition is regarding the conservation of momentum. In elastic collision, we all know the momentum is conserved. Therefore, we can place the equation as initial momentum is equal to final momentum. Now, when I say initial momentum, I can represent initial momentum as m1u1 plus m2u2. It's the total initial momentum of the system before collision, which will be equal to, you can see, the final momentum of the system after collision. So you can just represent it as m1v1 plus m2v2. Now let's shuffle the values of this equation. The first condition will give us the first equation, you can see. So just put the suffix 1 on one side and suffix 2 on other side. So when you do that, you can see when you actually do this, what happens is m1 on one side and there would be a bracket u1 minus v1. Okay, so when you shuffle it, friends, you get the equation somewhat like this. Okay, so the basic equation is the law of conservation of momentum equation. We say m1 u1 plus m2 u2 equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2, and we shuffle all the suffix of one side, suffix 1 on one side. So we get m1 in bracket u1 minus v1 would be equal to, you can see, should be equal to m2 in bracket v2 minus u2. Okay, so this is the equation, say equation number 1, and you get equation number 1 from the first condition of elastic collision, that the total momentum is conserved. So please make a note of this, friend, and then by the second condition we will frame the second equation, and then we will go for the derivation. Once you are done with it, please let me know so that we move ahead towards the next screen. Yeah. Okay. People say they are done with it. Okay. So the first equation which you get is from law of conservation of momentum for elastic collision. Okay. Now you can just move ahead. Since the collision is elastic, we can also say that the total kinetic energy before collision is equal to the total kinetic energy after collision, friends. So based on this statement, we can frame one more equation. So total kinetic energy before collision would be given by half m1u1 square plus half m2u2 square, which can be further equated to the total kinetic energy after collision, and the value would be half m1v1 square plus half m2v2 square. So from the second condition of elastic collision, that the total kinetic energy is conserved, we can get this equation. You can cancel out half from both the sides. Take half common and you can cancel it out from both the sides. So the equation reduces to m1u1 square plus m2u2 square equal to m1v1 square plus m2v2 square, friends. Let's simplify it. You take one terms on one side. So when you do that, it will be like m1u1 square minus m1v1 square equated to m2v2 square minus m2u2 square. Now you can take m1 common on left hand side, and what you get is in bracket u1 square minus v1 square, whereas on right hand side you can take m2 common, and what remains in the bracket is v2 square minus u2 square. So this is just like a square minus b square. So we will just put it in this manner. So that is a plus b into a minus b. So here in this case, left hand side you can see m1 remains as it is, multiplied by u1 plus v1 multiplied by u1 minus v1, and on the right hand side it would be m2, you can see u2 plus v2 into u2 minus v2. Now based on this, we'll get the second equation. from the second condition for elastic collision. So we have equation number 1 from the previous slide, which comes from law of conservation of momentum, and second equation which comes from law of conservation of kinetic energy for an elastic collision. So we have these two equations. So please make a note of it, and then we will divide equation 1 by 2 and then see what happens. Okay. So before we do that operation, just let me know if you're done with it. Yeah, so most of you say yes. Now you have equation 1 and 2 with you people. What you're supposed to do, you're supposed to divide equation 2 by equation 1. Now when you do that, some common terms will go. Say, for example, M1 will get cancelled. U1 minus V1 will get cancelled. So let's move ahead and let me show you how things change. Okay, dividing equation 2 by 1, you all know what equation 2 was. You all know what equation 1 was. So, you can just have a look at this. Okay, this was the equation 1, M1 U1 minus V1 equal to M2 V2 minus U2. And this was equation 2, M1 U1 plus V1 multiplied by U1 minus V1 equal to M2 V2 plus U2 multiplied by V2 minus U2. So you divide 2 by 1, so you can see what all things will get cancelled. So here on the left hand side, M1 will get cancelled. U1 minus V1 will get cancelled with this. M2 will get cancelled. This term will get cancelled with V2 minus U2. So what remains then? Okay, you can see when you divide it, get a picture somewhat like this. So here you can see M1 can get cancelled, and ultimately what remains is U1 plus V1 equal to V2 plus U2. Now from this, I can write U1 minus U2 will be equal to V2 minus V1, and I end up getting equation number 3. So what is this equation number 3 representing? So it gives the relative velocity with which the spheres approach each other before collision, and right hand side gives the relative velocity with which the spheres get separated after collision. And we all know in elastic collision, the relative velocity of approach will be equal to relative velocity of separation. Therefore, our coefficient of restitution was 1 yesterday when we studied coefficient of restitution for elastic collision. So the greater thing over here which you need to understand is, you get equation number 1 from law of conservation of momentum. You get equation number 2 from law of conservation of kinetic energy for an elastic collision. And when you divide 2 by 1, you get equation 3, where you come across a concept called as the relative velocity before collision is equal to relative velocity after collision, friends. Make a note of this before we move ahead. And then we have the analysis. So what we are supposed to do, we are supposed to find out the equations for the final velocities V1 and V2 based on these equations which we have derived. So once you are done with it, let me know so that we can proceed for further. Okay, so most of you say yes. Yeah. Okay, friends. So let's move ahead then. So hopefully things are pretty clear till here. Now this is the equation 3 which we would be using time and again, and we all know how we got equation 3, and what equation 3 says is U1 minus U2 is equal to V2 minus V1, friends. Let's see. From this, can I shuffle everything in terms of V2? Now when I do that, it will be like U1 minus U2 plus V1. Okay, if I take V1 on this side. So this is the equation for V2. So further, if I shuffle, again, you can just have a look at it. I just shuffle it in terms of V2. I get it as U1 minus U2 plus V1. Okay. Further, if I shuffle, V2 then can be written as, I take one terms on one side. So U1 plus V1 minus U2 in this case. Okay. So just shuffled it this way. Okay, let's move ahead then. Okay, now the interesting thing over here, to find V1, you are substituting this. You are substituting what? V2. So V2 ka equation which we have got, that is U1 plus V1 minus U2. We want to substitute this in equation 1. Hopefully you all remember equation 1. We will just substitute the value of V2 in that equation 1. So I think this was equation 1, if you all remember. M1 U1 minus V1 equal to M2 V2 minus U2. Now instead of this V2, entirely we will be substituting this value over here. Obviously in form of a bracket. So we have to, when we open the bracket, we have to take care of signs also. Okay, so the left hand side will stay as it is, M1 U1 minus V1 equal to M2. Now here you can see when you put it, open it as a bracket, still you will get this way. V1 U1 plus V1 minus U2. Okay, minus U2. So minus U2 and minus U2 will make it minus 2U2. Okay, so that's why it is, and when you multiply by M2, so it will be minus M2 2U2. So this is the term which we get. Okay, so when you shuffle it, M1 U1, okay, and M2 U1, you take it on this side. Okay, so it will become minus. This minus term you take it on this side becomes plus, because why it becomes 2, you know, minus U2 and minus U2 will become minus 2 M2 U2, which can be then equated to, you know, what remains on the other side is, you can see M2 V1. So M2 into V1 stays here itself. And from this side, you will get M1 V1. When you take it this side, it becomes plus. Right. So you shuffle the equation that way. Fine. Now what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to find out V1, right? So that's our prime condition. So you take V1 common over here. Here what you can take is, you know, M1 U1 and M2 U1. So M1 minus M2 can be taken in a bracket, U1 common, plus 2 M2 U2 equal to, here in the right hand side, you take V1 common. So what remains in the bracket? M2 plus M1. And then just shuffle the values in terms of V1. So you just shuffle the value. That means you bring this M1 plus M2 in the denominator over here. So when you do that, you know, V1 would be given, there are two terms. Okay, so it will be like M1 minus M2 divided by M2 plus M1, or you can also put it as M1 plus M2 into U1. All right, plus 2M2 divided by M1 plus M2 into U2. We get equation 4, friends. So that means if we know U1 and U2 for elastic collision, we know the masses, we can actually find out what the final velocity of sphere 1 would be if an elastic collision takes place with the help of this formula. So this is how we have derived the equation for the final velocity of sphere 1, that is V1, when an elastic collision takes place. So you may be asked this, you know, about this question in your examinations to be derived. This is how you're supposed to derive it. So please make a note of it. And once you are done with it, then the second target will be, just like we have found out V1, friends, we will find out V2 also. So for finding out V1, we needed equation in terms of V2. Now for finding out V2, we would need equation in terms of V1. So the same equation, we will shuffle it in terms of V1. Okay, so hopefully we do that in the later stages, but then just make a note of it and give me the acknowledgement that, you know, you are done with it, so that we move ahead. Yeah, Kansha says done. Hopefully the other students are also okay with it. Yeah, now more of them say they're done with it, so we can proceed further. Yes. Yeah, Ayush, I got, yes, Gautami, Reva, fine, no problem. So the interesting part over here is we can find out V1 if we just know the masses and the initial velocities. Similarly, we need to establish equation for V2. V2 stands for the final velocity after collision. Okay, and which collision are we discussing? We are discussing an elastic collision. Okay, so this would be the analysis for elastic collision. Hopefully, you all are okay and you are done with it. So we move ahead. Okay. Now I would be wanting equation in terms of V1. So I will shuffle these values in terms of V1. Okay, so when I do that, again from equation 3, in terms of V1, you can write it this way: V2 plus U2 minus U1. Look at equation 3 previously. Just see V1 will be what then in that case. So here it will be simply V2 minus this, bring it on this side. So ultimately you get it this way. Alright, so V2 plus U2 minus U1 is V1. Now you substitute this in equation 1, exactly opposite, to get V2. Okay, so equation 1 was this, right? So now earlier we substituted V2 to get V1. Now we will substitute V1 to get V2. Okay, that's what we are going to do. And when we shuffle, you also try this at home. Instead of V1, I'm putting the value of V1 entirely over here in terms of bracket. When I open the bracket, you know, minus into plus will be minus, minus into plus will again be minus, but minus into minus will be plus. So when you open the bracket, be careful about that. Okay, so again you can just shuffle it, and then when you solve this equation, friends, you can see you shuffle it and solve it, and ultimately you will end up getting this equation. Okay, m1 into bracket 2u1 minus v2 minus u2 equal to m2 in bracket v2 minus u2. So shuffle everything in terms of, you know, v2 now, isn't it? So here it should have been v2, not u2. Okay, and u2 should have been over here. So when you take it common, that's a, when you solve it basically, you have to correct this. Okay, so here it should have been v2 and not and so this m1 v2, you bring that term over here and take this term over here, and then take v2 common, and then when you shuffle everything in terms of v2, you will get an equation like this. So this is the equation which we are talking about. So we get final velocity of sphere B also after collision with the help of this analysis. So please,
Can you please tell again about the correction?
it's not about the correction, it's about an extra step which we are going to go ahead with. And that extra step will be, see, if I want V2, right, on right hand side, so V2 should be present here also and here also. So I will shuffle this term over here and I'll get this term over here. That's what I'm saying. So that I can take V2 common, and then finally we can always, you know, proceed with shuffling the values in terms of V2. That's what I was saying. So one extra step you have to perform. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So hopefully you got it, Reva, right?
Yes, sir, I got it.
Okay. So once you make a note of it, just give me the idea so that we can move ahead. We can. So this is how we have analyzed situation. Okay. So we have got the final velocities for an elastic collision. So in your exams also, they may ask you this derivation. So at home, you should practice this derivation, friends. Okay. And mind well, this is the part of your syllabus. Okay. We are touching periphery means we are actually discussing syllabus also. Yeah. So most of you say done. So good. Now we can have some specialized cases to be discussed over here. Okay. So now we have the equations for V1 and V2, friends. Okay. What it says is, if we know the masses of two colliding bodies, their velocities before collision, then we can find out the velocities after collision. So the last statement is also important. Okay, so just make a note of this also. This is the entire crux of what we have studied. Okay, this will give us the crux of the analysis, you can say. V2 and V1 we can find it out with the help of this analysis. Okay, so hopefully you have noted down that statement also. Then let's move ahead. Yeah, so people say okay with it, no problem. ठीक है. Yeah, Pranjali, I got your message. Chalo, let's move ahead then. Let's deal with some specialized cases for these two equations. So, yeah, so special cases, friends. So if the particle have same masses, that is the two sphere have equal masses. Then in that case, m1 will be equal to m2, and when you put these values, you will get v1 equal to, if it is m1 is equal to m2, then this numerator will become 0. You can see m1 minus m2 will be 0. So 0 into something will be 0. Here also it will be 2m1 upon 2m1, so 1. So ultimately you can see v1 will be equal to u1. Here I believe it should be u2 and here it should be u1. Okay, so that's why that correction has to be made. Here it should be u2 and here it should be u1. So what remains is u1. So v1 will be equal to u1. Similarly, v2, you can see v2 will be okay, like the same equation, but then v2 will be equal to, okay, velocities will interchange in a way. So what it means is, if you observe in one-dimensional collision of two particles of equal masses, they simply exchange their velocities. So here it should have been u2. So it's the equation is correct. Okay. So instead this u2 should be present over here. Wrongly they have mentioned it as u1. All right. And here it should be u2, which becomes 0, and here it should be u1. So u1 should be present over here. So I'll show you the correction once again, friends. Okay. So here everything is okay, but u2 should be presented here because this term has become 0. This is correction number 1. Correction number 2, here instead of u1 it should have been u2, and here instead of u2 it should have been u1. Therefore this term vanishes because of the 0 over here, and what remains is u1, and that u1 boils down over here. Now when I say v1 becomes u1, okay, when I say that, okay, so and v2 becomes u1, then what you can say is, the velocities are interchanged. Just make a note of it quickly and then work it out. Or at home, what you can do is you just put m1 equal to m2 and see what you get as v1 in your equation, and see what you get as v2. Okay, you'll come to know that the velocities get exchanged. Forget about the corrections at this moment. Once you are done with it, let me know. We can move ahead towards the next step then. Yeah. So, yeah, most of you say, okay, let's move ahead then. Yeah, done. Okay, so let's deal with it. Now, if one of the colliding spheres B of mass m2 is initially at rest, what does that mean? Initially at rest means u2 is 0. Then what the equations would look like, equation 4 and 5 which we have derived. So initially at rest, so you can put u2 as 0. So ultimately v1 then in that case will be given as m1 minus m2 upon m1 plus m2 into u1. All right. And similarly v2 in that case would be given as, here you can put u2 as 0. It will be given as this term becomes 0, the first term will become 0, and v2 will be then given as 2m1 upon m1 plus m2 into u1. So this is how you can work out the velocities v1 and v2, final velocities after collision, based on different conditions. Okay, so these are specific conditions. So from general equations, you can derive the specialized equations for a given condition. So make a note of it, and then we can discuss the other cases as well. Once you are done with it, let me know so that we proceed further. Yeah. So most of you say yes. Let's move ahead then. Sure. So I believe everybody is ready for the next condition. Now in this condition, what they say, if m1 is equal to m2, then what will happen? If m1 is equal to m2, then v1 will be, yeah. So there you can see v1 in that case will be 0. Okay, just substitute this and you will come to know what v1 V1 would be. Okay. Why it would be 0? Because M1 and M2 are equal. So obviously in the numerator it will be 0. So V1 would be 0. Okay. So it's a specialized condition for this case. The same case we are continuing. See, first of all, the equation was this big. Then this part got eliminated and we get this equation. And there also, if M1 and M2 are equal, then the numerator will become 0. The entire stuff will become 0. That's what I'm trying to say over here. So then in this boiled compressed equation, you can see V1 becomes 0 if M1 and M2 are equal. Similarly, what happens to V2? Let's understand that. So the compressed equation for V2 was 2M1 upon M1 plus M2 into U1. But then if M1 and M2 are equal, then you can see V2 will then become equal to 2M1. So instead of M2 in the denominator, you can put it as M1. So M1 plus M1 will become 2M1 and this will get cancelled. So ultimately, V2 will become equal to U1. So V1 is 0 and V2 is equal to U1. So just like we play sometime in carom, you hit a coin, initially the striker stays at rest, the coin stays at rest, the other coin moves. So same thing happens here. Sometimes, you come across such collisions. So V1 will become 0 and V2 will be U1. What you can conclude out of it, hence the first particle of mass m comes to rest after collision, and the second particle of mass m2 acquires the initial velocity of the first. That's what the conclusion drawn for this type of specialized situation. So please make a note of this also, and then let me know, we can move ahead. Once you are done with it, just let me know. Very interesting part of analysis, friends. Okay, you need to be comfortable with this, and it's interesting also. Okay, so let's move ahead then. Yeah, here you can see if M1, the next thing which I can discuss is if M1 is pretty much greater than M2, then you can consider the mass of the sphere as negligible, sphere B. So when you consider negligible, that means M2 you have to be considering it as 0, negligible, 0. So M2 is 0 because M2 is very less and M1 is pretty much greater. So you have neglected M2. Then what happens? The same equation, you are supposed to neglect M2. So you'll just get one term. So V1 will be, you are neglecting M2, right? So M2 you are supposed to put 0. So M2 is 0. So the same compressed equation will become M1 by M1 into U1. And then V2 can be equal to U1 in that case. Sorry, V1 can be equal to U1. Here you have to make a correction, okay? You can see, instead of V1, they have placed it as V2. Here, V1 will be equal to U1. Similarly, V2, we have the compressed equation in this format. So you will get it in the similar way. Okay. So here you can say V1 will be equal to U1 in this case. And what can be V2? So let's see what the statement says. Okay. You get it compressed like this. Okay. So you have to make that correction. Here the correction is to be made. Okay. So here we come across thing V1 would be equal to U1. So let's talk about V2. So when we are talking about V2, we will talk about this equation. So M2 is to be neglected, right? So when you neglect M2, then it will be M1 cancel. So 2U1. Here in this case, it will be V2 will be 2U1. And what can be this? So M1 upon M1. Yeah, V1 will be U1. That's what we have derived. And V2 will be 2U1. Okay, that's the correction. On the next slide, you can see this slide. You are supposed to make that correction. Okay, so yeah. So here the only correction is instead of V2, it should have been V1. And here instead of 2 over here in the denominator, it should have been only M1. So you get this as 2U1. Alright, so this is V1 and this is 2U1. So that's the correction. So friends, please make a note of this. Hopefully you got the correction. You have some confusion, let me know so that I can again tell you where the correction is. I will again tell you the correction over here is, here the suffix should be 1 because here it is V1, here it should be V1. Here for V2, instead of 2 in the denominator, it should be just only M1 so that you get it as 2U1. Okay, so hopefully things are done. People say yes. Okay, great. Now, this was the case if M1 is pretty much greater than M2, then M2 was neglected. Had it been other way around, so when I say other way around, if M1 is less than M2, then the mass of the sphere B, sorry, not B, but A can be neglected. Here the correction is sphere A should be neglected. So M1 should be neglected. Why M1 should be neglected? Because M1 is less. So here instead of B, it should be A. Okay, so then what happens? Then V1 will be given as. So if M1 is neglected, then M1 has to be put as 0. So V1 will be minus M2 upon M2 because it was like 0 minus M2. So 0 minus M2 will be minus M2 in the numerator. The same equation which we are using. Okay, so here M2 will get cancelled and V2 will be minus U1, friends. Okay, V1 will be minus U1, sorry. V1 will be minus U1. Then V2 in this case will be simply 0. Why? Because M1 itself is neglected, so the numerator will become 0. And if numerator is 0, V2 will become 0. So what does that mean? After collision, sphere 1 will take the velocity of 1, but it will reverse its direction after collision. And what will happen to sphere B? It will come at rest. It will stay at rest basically. So this is how you can analyze conditions. Okay, so hence we can say the velocity of the lighter incident sphere is reversed without changing the magnitude, while the body m square nahi hai, it is m2. Okay, 2 should be in the suffix, remains at rest. This is again an interesting analysis, friends. So please make a note of it. So these were the greater details of elastic collision. We have analyzed elastic collision in greater details. We will solve one problem related to this before we cover up today's session. Once you are done with it, let me know so that we can move ahead. Yeah, so most of you say yes, done. So let's move ahead then. Okay, just give me a moment so that I can share a different screen. We can talk about a problem. Just a moment. Just give me a moment. Yeah. So let's talk about this classwork problem, friends. So what it says is a sphere of mass 5 kg makes a head-on collision with another sphere of mass 10 grams. Initially, 5 gram mass is moving to the right with a speed of 20 centimeter per second, while the 10 gram mass is at rest. Assuming the collision to be perfectly elastic, find the velocities of the spheres after collision. So the same case which we have discussed right now. We're talking about elastic collision. So M1 given 5 gram, U1 is 20 centimeters per second, M2 is 10 gram, U2 is 0 because it was at rest. For perfectly elastic collision, it's not body. We know V1 will be given by this equation. Just put these values and we will get V1. You can see. So put all these values. and you will get V1. Okay. Similarly, we have the formula for V2 also. So we can solve that also and get the value of V2. So before I show you how we get V2, please make a note of this slide so that we move ahead. I can show you how to work out the second part. Okay. Yeah, Tanish, you want to say something? Are we done with it? Yeah, people say yes. Done. So let's move ahead. So what I have done here in this case is just use the formula for V1 and put the values. It's like a substitution type of problem. Yeah. So similarly, you can see, so V1 after solving it, I will get the value as minus 20 by 3 centimeter per second. Why minus? Because instead of going towards right hand side, it will start moving towards left hand side along x axis. It will change its direction. Reverse, in fact, won't say change, I would say reverse its direction. And V2, when you substitute the values, for V2, you substitute the values like this. The given formula which we have derived, you get the value of V2 as 40 by 3 centimeters. So it will move forward. So one will move reverse, it will reverse its direction after collision. The other will move forward. That's what is going to happen after collision, friends. So please make a note of this.